This lesson is for FST. It's not actually in the FST book, but it's a supplement to some of the learning we did in Chapter 7. The topic today is on synthetic division. The steps here listed for synthetic division are my summary of what we're going to see here in the two examples provided here in the video. You can only use synthetic division when you're dividing by a factor that looks like, for example, this one here. If the factor that we were dividing by was 2x minus 5, we would not be able to use synthetic division. So the idea here is that when you're working with division, you can only use synthetic division in place of long division if the factor came from a 0. So in this case, our factor is x minus 5, so the 0 that it would have come from was the number 5. So if you can write a factor from that as x minus that, then you can use synthetic division for that procedure. But if there's other things attached to your factor like x squared, or if there's something in front of the x, then you can't use synthetic division any longer. So it needs to be a factor that you can create from a 0 or vice versa. So the first thing you're going to do is find what that 0 was from the divisor itself. And then you're going to write the coefficients of the dividend in standard form. So let me show you what that looks like. So on our example here, we're going to divide 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 3. We're going to divide that by x minus 5. So I grabbed the 0 that this came from, so that would have been the number 5. And now I'm going to grab the coefficients on the original polynomial. Now the original polynomial here has a 4x cubed and a 2x squared, but there is a missing x term here, so we're going to fill in an extra 0. And you just put all of those in kind of a line, leaving some space in between. So I grabbed the 0 from here, and now I'm going to grab the coefficients as they are, inserting a 0 for the x term that's missing. Now you're going to do a reverse long division symbol, and you're going to leave 2 lines worth of space for writing. So you're going to do an upside down long division, leaving space here for a second line worth of work. Now the first number drops straight down. Now you just do multiplication. 5 times 4 is 20, and you write your answer here. And now you add vertically. So I get 22. And then the process repeats. 5 times 22 is 110. Add vertically. Now we multiply 110 times 5. Add vertically. And we're out of numbers, so we're finished. Now let's talk about how to structure your answer. Your answer is going to be these coefficients next to a polynomial. Obviously our x here is the variable. The original polynomial was x cubed. It's going to get divided by nx, so the answer is going to have to be x squared. So the power here is 1 less than what we started with originally, and then the numbers just descend after that. So I'd say 22x plus 110. Now if you do have an extra number there, then that means that that number is a remainder. So you just write plus 553. Don't forget your remainder needs to be still divided by the original divisor. So you need to put the x minus 5 underneath it. And so then this is your final answer. Let's try one more example. This one's going to be a little bit longer. We've got x to the 4th minus 6x cubed plus 17x squared minus 2x minus 3. We're going to divide that by x minus 3. So again, you grab the 0 that came from the factor that you're dividing by. So what minus 3 is 0 is what you're really thinking, so that has to be 3. Then we're going to grab all the coefficients on the polynomial that we're dividing into. The first one, leading coefficient there is a 1, negative 6, 17, negative 2, negative 3. We didn't have any missing components or any missing terms, so we don't need to add in any extra zeros. Do your upside down division bar, leaving space, and the first number drops straight down. Then you multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. Add vertically. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. And then we start all over again. So now we do multiplication. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Add vertically, we get 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Add vertically, we get 22. 3 times 22 is 66. Add vertically, we get 63. We're out of numbers, so we're done. Now let's structure our answer. The original was x to the fourth, so my answer is going to be 1, which I don't need to write, x cubed. And then the numbers just descend after that for the powers. Paying careful attention to the positive versus the negatives. So this will be an 8x, and then we've got a 22 left over. Since this 63 is extra, that's going to be our remainder. Don't forget to divide the remainder by the original divisor. And in case you're absent and don't have the worksheet as a handout, these are the problems that you need to practice to help you work on synthetic division.